Hello, welcome to Critical Joke Theory with your host, G.D. Fenderson, Certified Forensic Humorist. Now with new joke technology. Hi, I'm G.D. Fenderson, Certified Forensic Humorist at large, but I'm losing weight. Welcome to Critical Joke Theory, episode 64. Now with new joke technology and open caption for the humor impaired. BBC racing commentator John Hunt's wife and two daughters were killed in a crossbow attack. A crossbow? What the fuck? British police detained Kyle Clifford in connection to the deaths of Carol Hunt and her two daughters, Hannah, 28, and Louise, 25, according to Sky News. The three women were fatally injured inside their home north of London. Clifford, 26, meanwhile, was carried out on a stretcher after he was found in a cemetery. I know you have questions. I do not have answers. He is receiving medical treatment having been found with injuries, unquote, said the Hertfordshire Constabulary in a statement. No shots were fired by police. Louise was believed to be Kyle's ex-girlfriend. Okay, now the crossbow makes sense. He killed out of love, and Cupid used a bow and arrow. What a romantic. A Texas man died while hiking the Grand Canyon's Bright Angel Trail on Sunday, the National Park Service said. Parking officials received a report of an unresponsive hiker approximately 100 feet below the Bright Angel Trail at 2 p.m. on July 7th. According to a news release from the Park Service, just for the record, the average summer temperature in the Grand Canyon is hot as fuck. And with the heat wave, it was hotter than two bulimic models in wet t-shirts fighting over a toilet. I can see it now. They're pulling each other's hair, sticking their fingers in each other's mouths. Now that's hot. The hiker was identified by officials as a 50-year-old man from San Angelo, Texas, who was hiking toward the canyon rim after staying overnight at Havasupai Gardens. And if I'm saying that wrong, sue me. You're not paying for this service anyway. The National Park Service and the local medical examiner were investigating the incident. I really hope that hiking the Grand Canyon was the last thing on this person's bucket list. Hawaii Five-0 star and former sumo wrestler Taylor Wiley died. He was 56. A cause of death was not disclosed. Not disclosed is the second leading cause of death for celebrities after lung disease. Also known as Taylor Tuli, Wiley played confidential informant Kamekona Tupuola on Hawaii Five-0 from 2010 to 2020. He later reprised the role in the reboot of Magnum P.I. It had to be a reboot because a regular boot was never going to fit Taylor. Rest in peace, Taylor Wiley. I hear Hawaii is just like heaven. You should feel at home. 11 deaths have been reported in the greater Houston area after Hurricane Beryl tore through southeast Texas on Monday. Some of the causes of death were by fallen trees, fire, drowning, and one man trapped in his vehicle in floodwaters. So he also drowned, right? Texas Governor Abbott blamed Beryl's anti-pro-life woke agenda, and he tried to have Beryl bust to New York. In Boeing news, a United Airlines passenger jet lost a main gear wheel while taking off from Los Angeles on Monday, adding to the growing list of issues facing both the airline and the manufacturer this year. The Boeing aircraft was carrying 174 passengers, 7 crew, and 1 less tire when it took off from Los Angeles International Airport at around 7 a.m. on Monday. The plane landed on time in Denver, and the wheel landed ahead of schedule on a car in the LAX parking lot. In other Boeing news, Boeing, as if it were a real person, has pled guilty to a criminal fraud charge stemming from 2 crashes of 737 MAX jetliners that killed 346 people, the Justice Department said late Sunday, after the government determined the company violated an agreement that had protected the company from prosecution for more than 3 years. Federal prosecutors gave boing the choice last week of entering a guilty plea and paying a fine of $243.6 million as part of its sentence, or facing a trial on the felony criminal charge of conspiracy to defraud the United States government. Not manslaughter. Not involuntary manslaughter. Lucky bastards. If you or I killed 346 people, I bet we wouldn't get a choice between paying a $100 fine or facing a criminal trial. I say $100 because that is about the equivalent they are paying in average people dollars. Even still, none of the actual people who actually lied and defrauded will pay a cent or a price. I should have been born a corporation. A massive Russian missile attack across Ukraine on Monday has left at least 31 people dead and more than 150 people injured, officials say, with one projectile slamming into a children's hospital in Kiev. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky is now vowing to hold Russia accountable for its acts of terror and Putin for ordering the strikes. And Putin said, "What, me worry?" NATO celebrated 75 years as a security alliance, not to be confused with the insecurity alliance, white Christian nationalists. This international defensive alliance is made up of 32 countries, as opposed to the offensive alliance, which is made of Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and Donald Trump. Republican Representative Chip on his shoulder and stick up his ass, Roy, called Kamala Harris a DEI hire vice president. So that's the black job that Trump is talking about. Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat from Texas, dug into Representative Chip Roy on Monday after he called Vice President Harris a diversity, equity, and inclusion hire. Quote, "I want people to listen to them. If you just listen to what they say, it will tell you everything you need to know." Close quotes. You get the feeling that Crockett would have put her foot all the way up his ass if his head wasn't blocking the way. United States District Judge Aileen Cannon on Saturday granted former President Donald Trump's request for further briefing on the issue of presidential immunity in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case and delayed certain deadlines. There is no trial date scheduled. Period. Full stop. The steal. Ing of justice from the American voters. To paraphrase John Lennon, she hopes Trump likes what she's done, and she hopes she passed the audition. Just over a week after the Supreme Court presented its last case for the term, Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced articles of impeachment against Supreme Court Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito because of what she described as an unchecked corruption crisis on the Supreme Court. Unchecked because they were paid in gifts, cash, and perks. The filing, introduced on July 10th and co-sponsored by 8 other House progressives, accuses Thomas and Alito of refusing to dismiss themselves from cases where they had personal bias or prejudice, and for their failure to disclose income, gifts, reimbursements, and other financial information. In other words, they were doing the Christian nationalist God's work. Not to be outdone, United States Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat from Rhode Island, and Ron Wyden, Democrat from Oregon, are requesting a criminal investigation into Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas for potentially violating federal ethics and tax laws. Potentially is lawyer speak for "we know they did it, and they know they did it." In a letter written to Attorney General Merrick Garland last week, Whitehouse and Wyden requested the appointment of a special counsel to determine whether Thomas violated several laws in his failure to disclose a forgiven loan and gifts he received from benefactors. If Merrick Garland applies his usual doggedness to this endeavor, he may get around to it about never. Closing arguments have begun in the Senator Menendez and Friends trial. The defense maintains that Menendez, seen here with his life partner in crime, was just doing the job that voters are paying him to do, and they are paying him in gold bars. That's all. President Biden continues his Jesus Christ, what do I have to do to make you love me tour? He held a press conference on Thursday, which should have been called Trump Couldn't Do This Without slurring his words, and racial slurs. Oh, and by the way, he's a convicted felon. Last month, Cindy Clemenchard publicly accused Pastor Robert Morse of sexually abusing her starting in 1982 when she was 12 years old and Morse was 21. Shortly after, he admitted to inappropriate sexual behavior and resigned. A month later, new correspondence is being revealed between his lawyers and Cindy Clemenchard, showing the lawyers blaming Clemenchard for her behavior. She may have been 12, but she looked all of 13. Newly obtained letters state the abuse continued until March of 1987 when Clemenchard was 17 years old, when she aged out of the Gateway to Pedophilia Church program. And finally, Riot is trio spelled sideways. I have 3 January 6 updates. Jay Johnston, a veteran comedian with roles on Mr. Show, Arrested Development, Bob's Burgers, and Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, has pleaded guilty in connection with his role in the January 6, 2021 attack on the United States Capitol. Jay Johnston, wearing a gray suit, pleaded guilty to a felony offense of obstructing officers during a civil disorder. I'm assuming the gray suit was not his Confederate outfit. Quote, guilty, unquote, Johnson said when asked by United States District Judge Carl Nichols how he pleaded. Johnson is obviously stuck in his arrested development phase of his career. Nichols set a sentencing hearing for 10 a.m. October 7th, asking federal prosecutors to turn in their sentencing memo by September 30th, and the defense to turn it in by October 3rd, and Johnson to just mail it in like he's done his whole career. An Indiana man, Curtis Logan Tate, has been ordered to spend over 5 years in prison after pleading guilty to assaulting law enforcement during the riots at the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Tuesday, Tate was ordered to spend 63 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release for his felony charge of assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers. United States District Judge Christopher Cooper also ordered Tate to pay $3,176 in restitution. Damn, hate is getting expensive. A week after a judge deemed Kelly Sorrell mentally competent to stand trial, just not competent as an adult, the former Oath Keepers attorney and one-time girlfriend to convicted seditionist and Oath Keepers leader Elmer Stewart Rhodes has pleaded guilty to conspiring to obstruct the certification of the 2020 election and guilty for bad judgment for dating Elmer Stewart Rhodes. I'm G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist, now with New York Technology. Thank you for watching Critical Joke Theory. If you enjoyed it, please like and share it. And please check out Done Way Past Funny on YouTube, Knob TV, and Spark TV, and watch The Church of Last Resort streaming live on Sundays on YouTube at 9 a.m. Eastern. Be safe out there, and don't feed the crazies. Critical Joke Theory with your host, G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist. Now with New Joke Technology.